there any intro you guys are curious about today? Feeling like it?
I like what we were talking yesterday, Livy, about and then you make the poll on the stewards. Maybe like we could say, what do we think? Regarding like, for example, like, okay, the question was like, how the project should share updates and make this information transparent. Then there was many ideas like having it in a call, and then also updating into the forum, then updating into the community call, and there was another one I cannot remember right now. Maybe you can help me, Libby.
Yeah, I put this as one point of the
Oh,
agenda,
okay,
but
okay.
I was just thinking if you guys wanted to like slowly get into it, but if you're feeling like we can jump straight into it, that's cool too.
Maybe I would love 3 minutes mindful meditation. I also have those.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll do that. That is are you both okay with that too?
Yeah.
Okay. Um all right, so maybe we can stretch a little bit first. Like move your body, circle your shoulders to the back, and now circle it to the front. You can move just intuitively, feel what part of your body wants to stretch. Now come to stillness. Your feet is planted in the floor. You can feel the whole surface of your feet, feeling the floor, and your spine is tall and erect. So you're in a 90-degree position. Now let's take a deep breath together. So in 3, we start breathing in. 1, 2, 3. Breathe as much as you can and breathe out. Stay empty for a second or two. Now let your breathing regulate and just breathe at your own pace, preferably with your nose. And feel your body in the space. With your eyes closed, bring your sight to the point in the middle of your eyebrows. So it's like you're looking, you can touch the middle of your eyebrows to feel that easier. So you're looking there internally. Contract your abdomen and just feel the posture of your body in rest. Pay attention if there's any tension. Be mindful of your breathing. What is the trajectory the air does coming in? And how does it feel when it comes out? If you pay attention when you're breathing in, the air is slightly cooler. When you're breathing out, the air is warmer with the heat of your body. Now we can just observe our thoughts for a few seconds. Focus on the breath. Now relax any tension you have in your face. Relax your forehead. Relax your mouth, your jaw. You can massage your jaw a little bit on the side because it holds so much tension. Relax your eyes. Massage your face a little bit. Now take a breath and come back in your time.
That's awesome, Livy. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking that. That's always great. Does anyone wants to share something?
I don't remember the last time I actually massaged my face like that, and it was wonderful.
Nice. Okay. Okay, so jumping into accountability for conviction voting proposals. Yeah, so like I posted in the stewards chat a little poll here. Can you see my Telegram screen?
No.
No.
I do have a question real quick about CV proposals.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that there are comments on the bottom of some of the CV proposals. Is there a way to interact with those comments directly in the gardens, or do you have to go to like a forum thread or what?
Yeah,
You have.
they are linked to the forum.
Okay.
Yeah. So I posted this poll that we should have some type of accountability round for the proposals that are passing, a place for them to share progress and hear reactions from the community. How should we do this? And Griff and I thought we should create a bi-weekly meeting just for this. Shebnan, Indu, and Chewy that we should open space in the community call. That feels very challenging, but I believe we can do this with effort. Ivy thinks we should make a channel on Discord where we can ping project owners and ask questions. And almost everyone that voted thought we could incentivize updates to be shared in the forum. So it sounds like maybe we could have something being announced in the community call. Maybe use the space we use for the spotlight to have, like, it's either a spotlight or a little sharing of the progress. Like if a project has delivered in that week, then they could share about how was that for them, like how was the delivery, did they have any challenges, is there, are they open for feedback, what does that mean for the community that they delivered that project? What do you guys think? We could do that.
I have a crazy idea. I mean, what I mean, the intention of the community code is like people want who like advance in the work, like they share their progress. Uh, so what if instead of like having every time all the working groups sharing, maybe like sometimes working groups are just sharing because they're feeling they're being forced like to share because it's like the weekly thing, and then maybe it's not so much to share. Like it happens with a lot of working groups, like legal transparency sometimes. In general, it's a thing that's happening, and maybe like we could also create space, like treat projects as working groups, and then people who want to share, like maybe they can. We could have like this culture of like, okay, people sign up like for sharing this week, and then it would create like people who really wants to share go, and then if we feel like there's many people wanting to share, like we could even also say, okay, make like okay, we only have 1 hour, so this is the group that shares this week, this group shares next week, and they can also share like all together, so it's more open, I feel.
So I think, you know, this, to me, this is a major problem with the conviction voting that we have implemented, just because the accountability component is really difficult to do. I think most of the accountability needs to be done before the proposal actually occurs. We have that proposal right now for Zargum and I can't remember the name of it, in source or something like that, some open source library of some sort. And for me, like, projects like that, it's just, outside of being vouched for by trusted community members, there's little accountability towards like them giving us any updates. And most of the time, if they decide that they want to do their entire funding all in one go, I see that as being very dangerous. And so, like, I think there's a potential for people to scam, and there's a potential for us to not be able to control whether or not we can pull down a proposal or not, by community vote or through our covenant. Um, and in terms of just like giving up, like, we're not worried about that right now, but I do see it being a problem in the future, especially. And I just don't think we're talking enough about it. I don't know. In terms of accountability, I think there should be a process that proposals that go into the CV should not only be posted on the forum, but there should be some kind of vetting process for the people who are proposing it and who are receiving the funds. But yeah, I see there's a lot of issues around accountability, and I'm not sure exactly how to approach it, but I think most of it should be done beforehand rather than post.
Um, there's something that we have been talking with Sam regarding the Unbreakables Vows project we're working on, and is that we could make an independent contractor agreement for the people who leads the proposals that passes on conviction voting, and that somehow, if there is a proof for a violation of that independent agreement contract, um, there could be a stop of the flow of the funds, or only paying a collateral for the termination of the contract. Um, but yeah, for that, the funds wouldn't need to go directly to the multisig, but they will be distributed within a flow to the multisig according to the configuration of the contract.
Yeah, that's one idea. The accountability in DAOs is a major piece of tooling that is missing, and it's not only in the TC, it's in every DAO, and it's for a long time, there is like awareness that this is a problem. And I think the best solutions so far to deal with it are cultural, or like how can we promote some type of cycle where people feel like sharing the results is part of the process. And that's why I think it's important for us to think of some processes we can implement. And I think ideas like that, Juan, that sounds great, to have some type of like fluid funds delivery and not like delivering funds all at once. There are many trials with escrow mechanisms too. I know that Giveth wanted to be a piece in that direction sometime, like to be integrated so projects could have milestones instead of being the whole project. But then kind of we're understanding too how to submit smaller proposals. So this is also part of the solution. But that would be cool to continue to hear updates on that. And I'm sure Sam is already like thinking of how to implement that in conviction voting, right, Juan? Or on auspices voting? Is it the name of the new one?
Yeah. I can share my screen for a moment. And this is the independent contractor agreement. So we're still working on this, but the idea is that we can have like the Ethereum address of the client and of the involved parties, and then we can produce like a document where only with a collateral it can be terminated or raised to a dispute, because if one places the collateral, and the other doesn't place the collateral, then the contract can be ended by only one party. But if the other party matches the collateral, then it goes to an arbitration process.
I have one
So my own,
question.
you're right.
It's quick. Yeah, like you were saying, like, okay, this path, like, it's how I see it is like, okay, Gravity makes the proposal, and then you have like I'm the treasurer of Gravity, so you are like the coordination, and then let's say you're paying me a salary for doing this job, so then we have a vow between me and you, but between you and the TEC, how would the TEC, like, because when it's between you and me, it's simple because it's my address and your address. But then when it's the TEC, like, I have no idea how the TEC will be giving funds periodically instead of all together and then someone managing it. I know Sam is working also on osmotic funding, but it's not developed yet, so I have no idea.
Yeah, I also think that we're still working on this, but as I understand, it can be also done with a super fluid flow. So yeah, we are still working on this. It's very early, but that's our intention, to be able to have some binding document for between the DAOs and the people that the DAOs fund through conviction voting.
So my only problem with that is that, two things that it does is that it discourages projects that may further TE but do not have initial capital to provide for collateral. And the second thing is that you still, like, I think an escrow system might work really well, and then just we guarantee the funding from conviction voting to go to an escrow contract, and then it just releases funds based on milestone achievements that we set out beforehand. But outside of that, like I think just incrementalism is the best way to go. I hate seeing huge projects, and like even with the DAO proposal inverter, it kind of I don't want to be the one to say this, but it's like, you've already built the thing. Why are we funding it? Like it's one of those things. Like I want to reward that. That's great. I want to make sure that those people are compensated, but it's also like, I don't know. I just wanted to. Let that be stated.
Hi, Teresa. Welcome.
Hi, well, thank you. Sorry I'm late.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, we're just talking about accountability solutions. And I just have one comment. I think that's a dangerous mentality, like in my opinion, of I think we should definitely reward work that has been done already. I think that's like the space is moving so much in that direction, and that's kind of what kills public goods or open source stuff, if like, oh, this has already been built, why should we pay for it? It's like, but we're all using it and it's benefiting everybody. So I think, yeah, I don't know, I think it's important to be able to reward things that happened already, and that was part of Zargam's proposal as well, the one that you mentioned, like rewarding work that has been benefiting token engineering for a long time already.
Yeah, I'm afraid that there's a lot of stuff that has already been built for token engineering, and if we continue to do that, it is not a sustainable model for us to be funding those types of projects all the time. Because if it's just the DAO proposal inverter, then why not other projects that have been doing really great things around the space as well? And like, I don't mind them getting funded, but if I look at the entire thing, the DAO proposal inverter is getting funding from like 10 other places, and it's like, okay, well, what's I don't know. It's just something that in an ethical situation I would have to question and investigate, but it's something that should be talked about. I don't want to scare people away from talking about it, but I don't know.
Yeah, feel free to, like, I don't know, amplify that thought too. I think it's important to have discussions. But coming back to something we can do now, and yeah, I also think that it's somehow harmful to ask for high collaterals from projects that might not have the funding. And I think there are cultural solutions we can implement that would be like satisfying in a good level or in a substantial level before we have better technical solutions.
I think a good step would have a dedicated small group of people who are in charge of kind of engaging with proposal winners, if you will, people who get funding, to have somebody from the TEC actively participating on their team, working with them and saying, okay, here are the updates that I've seen, because people can just give updates and there's no, if you don't have the technical or you're in the know, like there's no way to verify that. And so I think having somebody within the TEC to go in there and say, hey, I'm going to be working with you and helping you wherever I can and keeping you updated, keeping the community updated on your progress.
But if a person passed a proposal, they're technically from the TEC, right? I don't want us to keep to gate the community to only the people who are very active in calls and stuff. I think if someone submitted a proposal and they're working on something that passed, they are from the TEC. But I get what you mean, that maybe we need someone in a more admin position to look at the proposals and see how is the progress. I started to do that today. I talked to Sam, who passed the first proposal. And I think, so there's something in the forum that is, in the proposals, how will you share progress? And I think this is an important piece. Like, first, we're giving the freedom to projects to understand what is the best way they can share progress. And maybe we can also, maybe we can add to this template something like, it would be great to have it shared in the community call, or like I don't know, maybe we can add something here. But then based on what they write of how they want to share progress, we can talk to them. So here he wrote that he'll write when all NFTs are shipped in the same forum post. And it's been like a month, more or less, or almost 2 months. And then I messaged him and he said that next week, all of them are probably going to be shipped and he's going to update here. So I think just having like some quick, I agree with that, Nate, having someone to check on the project. It's good. And then the other one is TE Academy, and Angela has been constantly sharing updates. So we're good on that one.
I'd like to comment on this. I think asking people for updates, it's dangerous. Like when I was creating the transparency working group, I think also chatting a lot with Sam, and he was always telling like it's important, like transparency doesn't become this uh, like the law. Oh, yes, no, you pass, you don't pass, you did this wrong, you need to do it better. It's better like to promote, like since we're doing since the beginning for monitoring. And I really like sharing progress in the forum, in the keep sharing progress, and then so people can see what the progress is. And then if Sam, for example, this doesn't share updates on the forum, high chances like next time he make a proposal, people is like, wow, you didn't share anything, why should you were asking for money last time, and we don't know what do you do with this money. So he's like somehow forced like to like in the like people is putting their reputation at stake when they're asking for money. And I think that's one, like we should. I really like the idea of what you were suggesting, Livy, of keep promoting this so people is sharing progress, and actually like the people who already asked for money, it's the progress is being shared, and the working groups are also sharing in the like some are doing different, like some working groups are using the work, some working groups are sharing in the forum, some others are using some Discord chats. That's actually somehow happening. I think like what we need to do is just keep promoting it and make it more, yeah, like like people should share the progress. We should not go to them and ask and require them progress, because that
But
could
we
be
should have accounting standards. There's no way for me to understand, like, even with the retroactive approach of like funding the DAO proposal inverter, there's no way to account for the money that we're giving them is actually going to, to individuals for X amount of dollars, for X amount of dollars. There's no way to value the contributions that they give like we do with like praise or something. Like, it's just, here's an arbitrary amount of money, and maybe you have some loose form of accounting of where that money is going to, but there's nothing detailed. And I think that is problematic. I think we should definitely have accounting standards where we say, if we're giving you 30,000, I wanted to see how exactly you plan on spending that 30,000. And that should not be, a question. It shouldn't just be like, hey, I just want 50,000 because that's what I value it at.
Teresa, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I'm a little bit confused. For example, when you propose a proposal, valga la redundancia, and then it's get approved, do you get paid immediately or after you deliver the work?
Immediately. Like you need to execute the proposal and then you get the funds.
Oh, okay. So like first you get the funds and after you deliver what you proposed, right?
Yeah, or there are some proposals that we're also talking about that are for retroactive funding. So work that already happened, and then there's a proposal to
I get paid.
for that work.
Yeah. Oh, I understand. I have another question. So like what I'm understanding till this point, there's no like centralized, well, I know that's not a very fun word, but there's like no like parameter for you to like get accountable of what you did, of what you like use the money for. If you're finishing the deadline you propose yourself, we don't have that in tech, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're discussing now. What is the best way to manage,
Okay, so like,
ensure that
okay, and Softgov would be like the working group that could do that, like that area, right?
well, I think it's a collection of what it's like a collective effort. I've been,
Okay.
yeah, I've been thinking
Like,
about this because I think escrow is something important for a long time, and I feel like we don't have like the best tools in DAOs yet for this. So I think it
okay.
has to come from a cultural standpoint. So that's why I feel like it's important to talk about it in SoftGov, but also transparency is involved on like how to, make sure that progress is being shared
Okay.
transparently, and also communitas to work with the people and the proposal. So I think there are many working groups involved.
Yeah,
No, that's great. No, I do think that's something like I agree with Nate. I do think there needs to be like a parameter, especially I would think those that will be like very important for the transparency group, because if it's a public, it's money from the tech and it's work that's gonna be done for the tech. I do think there must be like a line of work where, okay, so like you have to like deliver in the deadline you said you will, and all of that. I do think that's very important. Maybe like not to do it like coercitivamente, like coercitive. I don't know if that's correct in English, but just to have like a guide or a standard, especially for transparency. I think that's a huge thing that's not working in our government. So like we can have like standards that members of will accomplish. So I think that's super important.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Sam.
I just wanted to say, like, actually, we're planning to launch an audit on April that is monitoring like the first 3 months of the year, and we plan to do like one every 3 months, so we have four in the year. And yeah, the idea is like having all these projects and say what they built and everything. But the thing is, what I'm struggling right now is like, because at the beginning we were making the audit like very subjective, which I didn't like it at all. So we changed the approach now, and we're making it more objective. But like what I'm, what if my personal like insecurity right now is like, what if someone doesn't share feedback? Should I, making the audit? I don't know any feedback, but then this is also feeling wrong. Like I me not knowing that the feedback doesn't mean like it's not being done or whatever, right? So we should like have some standards, and I really like when I was saying having some standards, and then the transparency would only be saying, okay, according to these standards, this is what's happening, and then it feels more just an administrative work, not so much like authority. So maybe we could
Yeah, yeah, I'm thinking we should have, I thought we had in this template what the success looks like. And maybe this needs to be included here. Because then if people say when they are proposing, when does a successful delivery look like? And then when they deliver, that is not, if they deliver something that was not what they expected, like they set their own metrics kind of thing. So we don't have to judge. Because the problem with escrow or with any type of accountability mechanism is like, who can say that what was delivered was successful or not? That's always the challenging part.
Yeah, and with like num focus in particular, like it's just they state that the funds will be used at their discretion, and like and from what I get, they're a grant making body doing the exact same thing that we're doing for token engineering, and so we're sending funds to another grant making body to give out our money to people without our oversight. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the same.
I didn't understand.
So in the num focus proposal in the forum, it says, you know, we're going to use this at our discretion, and like their purpose is to um, to use the funds that are given by the TEC for their grants program for rewarding contributions to TEs in the Web3 ecosystem. And it's like we're sending them funds so they can send funds to the people that should probably just be coming to us. So I just really don't understand it, to be honest with you. And so, and the fact that we're sending funds, there's no way to evaluate the metrics that they have because they don't have any metrics, because they're basically their whole purpose is just to use that money to send out for grants. If that makes sense.
That could be a good comment to put in here. Like I think all of this thoughts should be shared in the proposal, so there is a chance for the project to, like the proposer, to explain, to clarify. Like this debate, we could engage with the proposals more. Did you feel was there any reason why you didn't feel that you could make a comment there?
No, I just, you know, it's one of those things where it you know, it's got Trent and Zargum and Griff, and so like these are very, very influential people who are vouching for this type of project, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And so having those types of comments in there, while okay, it just, I don't know. It's just one of those things. I don't know how to describe it.
It feels intimidating.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I feel very sad that this happens. Like I understand, of course, there's all this social dynamic, but I wish we could not feel that way, you know? Like if it was another person proposing this and you had a question, you would probably ask, and maybe like, what is that we need to do to make this space more welcoming? I think it's a lot of what we were talking last week. And this type of thing is what makes us be a DAO, you know? Like everyone feeling like they have a voice, that they can ask a question, that if something didn't make sense, even if it comes from a person that is an expert in the field, that we're all like sharing this platform and we could engage with it. I hope you can still ask your question, even though the proposal passed already.
Is there any way to make comments anonymously in the forum?
I don't think so.
You can create an anon account, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair.
All of this left me like wondering about reputation, like Nate's comment and also Seti's comment. It's like, how do we deal with reputation? You know, like for example, Seti's comment was about like, okay, if Sam put up a proposal and then he didn't deliver, the next proposal wouldn't pass because he just smashed his reputation. But then like, how do we learn, or how do we prevent reputation from getting in the way? It's like the amount of money in the common pool, it's we don't have an infinite source of money. So uh like everyone with enough reputation could put up a proposal and then don't deliver, and like, okay, cool, the next proposal will not pass, but um we won't have any money anyways. And then it's sort of like, it's I'm like thinking how to connect that with Nate's comment of like feeling intimidated basically because of reputation, I think, to some extent. And that's probably more on the culture side, which is something like could be worked on. Like how do we mitigate uh, these kinds of reputation based dynamics so people feel more comfortable, and so we don't necessarily pass proposals based on reputation, because like it's, I don't know, it's complicated because reputation gives us the certainty that they are probably going to deliver, but uh, it's like you know um depending on them.
Yeah, I think the way to we can never extinguish social capital. I mean, it's just something that
Yeah.
like maybe will take millennia to create like more distributed dynamics in this sense. But what we can do is create spaces where we feel like we can engage. And I think again is this approach of like we are all sharing the same space. How can we feel more empowered to use our voices? And I think the more multiple people engage, the more this power starts to get diluted. And the more people feel like they have agency to do something they're passionate about, more they will shine on their thing, and different levels of social capital will raise and fall and have more of a, of a flow within the whole community. I think the reward system analysis the dashboards will shed a lot of light on that, because we'll see who are the people that have more rewards in each round and who is interacting with who. And I think if this is like a spike of people that have a lot of influence and a lot of rewards, and then a very long tail of people that don't have much, I think making that visible creates a little bit more awareness and courage for everyone else to step up and for this dynamics to shift. So, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, sure.
Does anyone has any other comments on this topic?
I just wanted to say that the other day in a group for her DAO, they gave some grants. No, not grants. They gave some like travel benefits and all of that for people who went to Denver for it to ETH Denver, and then they require to give like a feedback of like the whole trip and everything. And then they sent a message that the people that didn't deliver that feedback, they wouldn't be like considered for next trips. And I was like, well, that's a little bit harsh, but like that's like well, not it's not harsh because like you're supposed to deliver, but like I don't know if that's like something that could be incorporated. I'm not sure if you said that's the way it works. For example, like when you don't deliver what you propose for, is there a way for you to like not be able to propose again?
Yeah, I don't even think that's needed. I think like socially that would naturally happen, that if you didn't deliver, people wouldn't just vote in the next proposal. And I
And
feel
how
like
would
that's enough.
and how I'm just trying to understand and how it's not like it's I'm just trying to understand the context and how would people like know you didn't deliver, because like the way you like that accountability is like delivered in different ways. So like as you said, there's not like a track of if you did what you said you're gonna do or not, or is there?
Yeah, that's part of the audits Zeptimus was talking about. Do you want to answer that, Zep?
I was distracted. What was the question?
She was asking how would we know that a proposal wasn't delivered?
I mean, that's what I wanted to see here also collaborating with Softgov, like what would be the future, like, like if we have like a structure, like, and then we say like, okay, we like the project should, like, and also Consonate was suggesting like having how to be accountable, and then we have these metrics, and then on transparency we could say like, okay, in this part, this is sharing in the forum, yes, sharing the progress, and then we put it there, and then it's up to the community to monitor, because they should comment on that, and then and transparency, what is very easy for us is work with the numbers and say this work asked this amount of money, and then also in Dune, like, not so much for projects but for working groups, like we have we're monitoring the multi-sigs. So if you go to the Dune, that I could also share. I think it's just give me 1 second. And you can even is it sharing the Dune? You can even come here, and then you say transparency, and then you see like transparency. Okay, they receive this amount of funds, then they distribute this amount of funds, and then on transparency, all these funds are on the proposal, so everyone knows who is receiving those funds, and then we can also get to the transaction link here if someone needs it. But it's it's so like the numbers is pretty simple. Like the hard part is like when people need to comment, and it works for all the multi-sigs of the working groups, communitas, even laser tag. I mean, they didn't do much yet, just received some funds, but I'm struggling actually with this second part. Like the numbers is all set up and it's good. But then because I don't feel I should go to Angela and say, hey Angela, what are the updates, and because it feels like we're creating a new power structure which doesn't feel it's according to our values. So right now I'm just struggling with that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good point.
What's excited for?
Go ahead, Nate.
I'm sorry. And so like even with the past proposal, like the num focus was able to pass with just 9 supporters, and 3 of them are part of the num focus foundation or advisors to the num focus foundation. And this is another thing where I just don't. There wasn't even enough time for anybody to react to this type of thing. And maybe it's because of the parameters of the conviction voting are not ideal in this type of scenario, to allow enough time for people to really evaluate. Because honestly, I didn't know it passed. I just realized it when you said it, and I'm now looking at it, because I just remember it coming up, I don't know, a week ago. How long did it take to pass?
Yeah, it's the thing of conviction voting. If a whale comes in, it will show.
Yeah. So to me, yeah, okay. I will make a post and leave it be. But I will say that even if we do have problems with accountability, we don't really have any actions to take because we don't have any type of tiered graduated sanctions to implement on people who don't follow through or don't have to meet the milestones that we set out. They set out. And so I think that a part of the pre-proposal accountability as well as the post-proposal needs to have some form of articulated graduated sanctions that we can hold against them.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was just going to say, like, sometimes it's hard to apply. I mean, right now, like, tokens are vested. It's more feasible, but it's hard. If your intention is to burn tokens or stuff, it's almost impossible, because when you make the proposal, then people just swap the tokens to another wallet or just sell them. And then I was also wanted to say, like, conviction voting is a very great tool for pretty small communities, like when they scale, because conviction voting needs like the reputation thing. When it scales, and it's not me saying it, it was Vitalik talking about like conviction voting. It's good for low communities, but it's not something like you can have, like a state running with conviction voting, because there's so many flaws.
Yeah, I think there's two good action items from this talk. One is to add a self-imposed metric to the proposal template. So I think that would address what you were talking about, Zep, that like how can we keep people accountable on their own terms. So if they have a metric that they can self-assess and that we can all assess, and then when they share about the project, they are talking from this place. And then when we're voting on the project, we can also analyze that metric. Like, and this can be a point for people to make comments, like, can I actually see that this was successful based on this metric that they are proposing? And then working on graduated sanctions, I think that's a good idea, Nate. We're going to have to update the covenant soon, so we can include something like that. Think of, it's good that all of these things are coming up now because it's kind of new, like what would be some type of social impact that could be a sanction for people not delivering on proposals. I don't think it can be anything related to funds because we won't have access to the funds. Like, yeah, we're giving a grant. It's more of a social impact after than anything else.
Was something, I don't remember who said it, but I think it's very important. And it's that part of like the community, like going to see the proposal, as you were saying actually, that going to see the proposal and saying, oh, like how's this going? Like obviously it will be like much better if that's after someone like redactó, like wrote down like the whole information you should be filling out and how in which period. But that's something that we lack as a society outside the DAOs and everywhere. That it's just like going out and like seeing if things were done or not. Just like as you, as an individual, going to your deputies, like for example here in Latin America, and like going like, hey, like how is this proposal going? Like just to like I know that's like kind of that could be seen as not adequate because you're like enforcing like your own thoughts to like the work someone else is doing. But I do think it's valuable to like enforce not enforce like obligar, but like enforce like to like propose a community like, hey, you should like be going to the forum and like seeing what people are doing and just like asking them how is it going and all of that, just like as a cultural norm, not like imposing yourself. I'm not sure if I delivered my point correctly.
Yeah, I think it has to do with what Septimus was saying of like you are in two sides of this spectrum. Like he thinks we shouldn't be, that is dangerous to enforce in that way, and you think it's important to enforce in that way. I think I take a middle ground of like you said, Zep, that for example, if Sam didn't deliver, he would just lose reputation. But then I think when we come from a caring space in the community, like if I care about Sam, I don't want him to lose his reputation, So how can I just like give a reminder or ask, the question is there like a loving way to ask or a friendly way to ask, how are people doing? If they need any help, maybe like, what is a good way to support someone in accountability. You're almost on the top of the hour, but does anyone want to close with a comment? Yeah, Zep.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, sometimes it's, because, for example, if it's Sam making the proposal, of course, like, for me, it's easier to, hey, Sam, like, you did this, maybe it'd be nice to check out with the TC, because remember, like, I mean, you did the job, but just check out with the community, it's easier. But then when it's with someone that you don't have, like, if, Sagram, I never speak to Sagram, so I wouldn't feel comfortable reaching him on a DM, even in a lovely way, because it could be felt like, like I'm asking for updates, and why should I ask for updates? It's like, yeah, like when you know the people, it's simple, but when you don't, it's harder.
Yeah. Last thing I just wanted to ask Nate, do you have the capacity to, like, time wise, and do you want to look at the graduated sanctions? How would they be for something like this, since you shared it?
I don't have the capacity at the moment, but I do think it's very important and something that I could catch up on here in a little while, but right now, no.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, everybody. That was a great discussion. I think we had some good outputs from it.
Yeah, thank you, Livy. I think that's awesome, and I would love, like, we keep pushing this monitoring. I think it's very important, and I love the ideas on this call. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Livy.
And take care. Bye.